And we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Steve LaMorte, director of The Mean One, in theaters right now. Hello, I love the hat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a screen-worn, one-of-a-kind Mean One hat featuring some real, well, I guess real fake blood from the actual movie itself.
Very cool. So you didn't have an accident right before the interview?
I did, but this is not it.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Yeah. So how did you get involved in The Mean One?
Well, I mean, the idea to do kind of a holiday horror parody version of that story that everybody knows has kind of been sitting with me since I was maybe, when I was a little kid, right? Something about these creepy old kids drawings and, going through Universal Studios for Halloween Horror Nights and seeing the areas that the author had created with no scare actors, with no spooky decorations, just with the lights off and a little bit of smoke. And it scared the hell out of me. And I said, what if we could do something similar that's funny and thrilling and take something everybody knows and kind of turns it on its head. And I've wanted to do it ever since. It's been that thing that kind of noodles at you that, you're always supposed to pitch more than one thing when you go to pitch a movie. And so it's always idea number one, idea number two, and then the mean one. And, in the 6 months ago, we decided we were going to shoot it. And we filmed it in May over 14 days. And then, not even 6 months later, we're in theaters all across the country.
Awesome. So when I asked how you got involved, so this was part of your idea because, there's two script writers. So I didn't know if it was a script that came to you or you've been involved the whole time.
No, it's my story. It's my concept. And these are writers that I work with a whole bunch. So, as soon as I had kind of a fleshed out outline, I said, hey, let's, would you be interested in writing the script for me? And they obliged and they jumped on. And now here we are.
Yeah. So when was it like you knew like, okay, we're actually going to make this? Because you said you would always pitch it. So did people like say, hey, this does sound like a good idea? Then it was like, well, let's write this. Or did you write it and then you send the script around?
It never, it never got out of the pitch stage. It was always like, here's like 14 jokes I could do if I took this big green monster and turned him into a movie. So, it never really went further than that. And then in December of last year, I had a shoot cancel and I had already booked a crew and, we had 2 days that were open. And I said, it's December 10th. Screw it. Let's just shoot like a fake trailer for the thing. We had it done by Christmas. I showed it to some friends intending for that to be it, the end, dead. I have no more jokes. It's 10, we shot it and that's it. It's done. Yeah. And then some, my industry friends were like, but what if we could make it into a movie? And we started thinking and marinating and we spent, maybe 4 or 5 months writing the script, workshopping it with actors, doing kind of the, the creative process to hear it read over Zoom to see, if we think it's going to work. And then we settled on some shoot dates to try to make the Christmas of this year deadline. And we started shooting in May.
Excellent. The chat room says that they love the hat, by the way. Both the hats.
Oh, thank you.
Multiple.
Thank you. We can't be sure which one is better. Yours is a little stiffer than mine. Mine is.
Mine actually bends around, so I could have it real high, but then you can't see it, so that's why it's bent around.
Yeah, yours is bent, and mine kind of just hangs there. So that's what are you gonna do?
It's probably more comfortable. I can't say this is the most comfortable hat, but it looks cool on the video. Yeah, and I for years on the show, I've always said I have a soft spot for holiday horror movies, even the really bad ones. I enjoy. There's just something about Christmas horror movies. I don't know why, but what is it about Christmas horror movies? Because I think I had a guest earlier this week and he said that there's more Halloween horror movies, but I don't even think there are. I think there are more Christmas horror movies than Halloween horror movies.
Well, I mean, I think there's just something inherently fun about taking something sweet, maybe that's gotten a little too sweet, and kind of turning it on its head and making it kind of spooky and scary. And I mean, look, A Christmas Carol, that's a ghost story. I mean, I agree. Yes. It's scary. I mean, in any like really good stage production of a Christmas Carol is spooky as hell, Mm-hmm. So I think that there's always been a certain magical, spooky mysticism about it. I mean, we've got Santa, but there's also Krampus, a very real like they're like partners in crime. If you're good, you get one, but there's nothing more Eastern European than having an evil Santa that comes and snatches you up and throws you into a bag if you're if you're not good and you don't eat your beets. So I don't know. I think it's always been there, and people are, think, oh, there people are ruining Christmas. I'm like, the oldest Christmas stories are scary. So
100%. It's weird because the green guy that you referenced earlier, I always considered that horror-esque story to begin with. The like, maybe it's not a straight up horror, but it's pretty creepy for a kids like cartoon. And when we did our top horror holiday Christmas horror movies last year or the year before, I had A Christmas Carol either number 1 or 2 because I consider that a horror movie.
Some of them are really spooky. I mean, even the Muppet Christmas Carol, where everything is a joke except Michael Caine, who plays it dead serious. Even that has got like, Christmas Future is always very scary. It's they got ring wraiths running around and, showing him his death. I mean, I don't know, scary ghost stories of Christmases long ago. People we love it,
Yeah, and they cut out some scenes in like the musical one. What's it called? It's called Scrooge, I think. He opens up his robe, the ghost of Christmas present, and he's got like a disease and famine. I mean, there's a lot of creepy stuff in them.
Some heavy stuff in there. Yeah, man. It's a ghost story, right? That scares a rich person so much that he decides to be nice. I mean, like that's a pretty tall order. It's gonna be pretty damn scary.
Yeah, we'll get back to me one sec, but do you have a favorite Christmas Carol? Because to me, like all of them are good. I don't know if there's really a bad one.
My favorite Christmas Carol, I'm a sucker for like joke stuff. So I mean, I think my favorite will always be Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I mean, it's just, I don't know why. I love this sense of humor. It's just funny to me. Yeah.
I meant A Christmas Carol, the movie versions, but I like your answer.
I thought you meant actually song.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a good answer. But yeah.
That makes more sense. Definitely the Muppets Christmas Carol. Close second being Scrooged, because Scrooged is, I mean, you can't go wrong with Bill Murray. But a Muppet Christmas Carol they take it so seriously, and you really feel bad, and you watch him have a change of heart, and Michael Caine's amazing. Yeah, I got a soft spot for puppets.
If you've not ever seen the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol, I think has the most depressing song ever in a cartoon. I'm the loneliest boy in the world. I recommend it if you want to cry and just feel bad. It's very sad.
Excellent. I will make sure to put crying at Christmas on my to-do list.
Right, exactly. So one thing I liked about The Mean One is it's a fun movie. And so was that like always attempt, like, we're going to make a fun movie? And along those lines, though, was there any, since you have David Howard Thornton in the movie, was there any like, people, he'll bring in his own fan base, but they might want like a really graphic Terrifier type movie?
It was definitely a concern when we brought it up. I mean, my intention was never to make a film that was like really gory and bloody or hard to watch. Those have a place in horror, and man, the practical effects in Terrifier are just stunning and shocking and wonderful. I mean, they're great. Not for everybody. I think the spooky PG-13 Blumhouse movies have a place too, right? I love schlocky stuff, but we knew that we wanted to make kind of a real Christmas movie, not a horror movie set at Christmas time. So we wanted to have this be, a borderline, we try to go for like the feel good horror movie of the season, right? That's always the goal. And, so sometimes I think people take our movie a little too seriously, and I'm like, no, guys, you should be laughing the whole time. They're so serious. The actors are so serious. That's what makes it funny. And you cut to the sketch of the monster. It's ridiculous. It's like supposed to be funny. So that was kind of my hope, was to make, a date movie that both partners could enjoy, but it was a little bit of a concern that we really needed to, I think the marketing might've made people think it was going to be really scary. And I'm like, no, we did not want to make it really scary. I mean, it's got all this ridiculous, silly, cartoonish blood. Like, it's not supposed to be scary. I'm not trying to, freak people out. I want them to, all audiences to come and watch and, feel warm and fuzzy and maybe a little scared, and have a laugh with The Mean One.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the blood, because my mom made sure that I would ask you about the blood, because she actually is a big fan of The Mean One. She loved it. And she wanted me to tell you that she loves the blood in the movie. And in her opinion, it's supposed to look cartoony. That's why it was made that way.
Your mom got it right, 100%. I mean, when I see a headline that says that the mean one has the, I generally don't read reviews, but I do, like, links do get sent to me and stuff. And the mean one has the worst CGI blood ever. I'm like, yes, we're getting an award. Like, the point is to make it silly. It's supposed to be ridiculous. The idea that some of the actors, and their friends and family, like, want to get drinks and go back and see it again because they're, like, laughing in the auditorium stuff. Like, that's great. I love that. And I think there's a certain element of, if we had made it too realistic or too gory, it might not be in the spirit of the original character, because we love these characters. We love this story. We want to turn them on their head and, do parody and have fun with it. But also, I don't want to ruin someone's childhood, as many people
Sure.
have told me in my inbox on Instagram. Thank you all so very much.
Well, a few things there, like you said about all the different types of horror movies. That's what I like about horror, because it really depends what kind of mood I'm in. I love Terrifier and Terrifier 2, and I love something silly. I love Gremlins, and it really depends what kind of mood you're in, and that's what makes horror fun.
Definitely. And I think all horror movies, have their value and their merit. I mean, if you only did chainsaw slashers, like, you could totally do that, and you could go down that path, and you would never have to watch a haunted house movie ever. You'd never have to watch a ghost movie, or a woods movie or found footage. And, I think it's really cool when you take the genre, or you take something people expect and you turn it on its head. Whether it's this Winnie the Pooh thing that's coming out, or Humpty Dumpty, Hansel and Gretel. I mean, all of them. I mean, it's like go for it. I mean, I once saw a movie. I mean, Wolf Cop. Come on now. Like, he's a wolf. He's a cop. Fan. He's a wolf cop.
Right.
I'm like, man, that's great. Like, it's so silly and ridiculous. And they let him make 2 of these damn things. I'm so, zombie Nazis. Come on. Like, they all have a place, and I love it.
Yeah. Like, you can't get enough zombie Nazis. But Eric says, I love the movie so much. I thought it was great from beginning to end.
Thank you, Eric.
And Real Badger,
send you $5 in just shoot me your email. I'll send you $5.
Excellent. Real Badger wants to know, is any screen credit for the film collective We Make Movies, considering how much of the cast are members thereof?
What do you mean? Are they in the credits? Yeah. Oh yeah. They're in the closing credits. Yeah. And the special thanks. I mean, We Make Movies is near and dear to my heart. It's a film collective that is really a global network, especially since the pandemic has gone global, of, kind of empowering filmmakers at any step of their filmmaking journey to make the movie they want to see. And I'm very fortunate that I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm plugged in and connected with We Make Movies. And so we've got, members of this collective in front of the screen as actors, behind the scenes as writers, camera operators, lighting people. Yeah, We Make Movies is all over the film. Shout out to We Make Movies.
Very cool. And how sick are you of people asking about the legalities of the green guy of Grinch in the movie?
Who? I've never heard of this person. No, it's all good. I mean, look, we can talk about it if you'd like.
Sure. Just in case, I'm sure you've talked about it before, but in case this is the interview people have heard and they've not heard other ones, whatever, it's good to have everything in it. So what are the legalities of doing the character? And did you have to have someone on set to make sure, certain things are adhered to?
Well, the parody is protected by the Constitution, right? I mean, we are, you are allowed to take things that exist and kind of spin them off and make a funny version of them. One of the great things that sets America apart, because you can't do that in lots of the world, actually. So, we knew that if we wanted to have this take of the character, conceptually, it had to be funny just for it to make sense. Otherwise, yikes, right. That would be a different movie. But we also knew that, we didn't want to confuse people into thinking that this is something that's authorized. We didn't want to denigrate the source material or make people, feel like we have a problem with the author or their original cartoon. So it was important to us that we took the steps in the screenwriting phase to make sure that, we could follow the law and, be kind of as careful as possible to make sure that the movie was, is not only a good movie that's well received, but also that we're not harming any other brand or, the authors or the characters or ruining anything. But it did take a lot of work because we are not trying to trick anybody into thinking that this is, official or legitimate. It's a parody. And, we're happy that we can exist alongside all the other super fun parodies that are out there.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned Winnie the Pooh movie that's coming out, and it's just a weird coincidence that they're around the same time, because then I think people do kind of lump the idea together that the Winnie the Pooh, the rights, came, or that Disney no longer owns the rights, so people can make a Winnie the Pooh whatever they want. And then I think some people lump this together and say it's the same idea, but it isn't.
Well, and we haven't seen Winnie the Pooh, shout out to the Blood and Honey team. I'm excited.
I don't even mean like, I don't know what, if the vibe of the movie, but I mean the idea that Winnie the Pooh's copyright came up. And
yes. Well, that's a little bit different. I mean, public domain is a little different for sure. And I think that's why Winnie the Pooh doesn't appear to be funny. I'm not sure if it is, but that's, they don't have to go that route, because you could take a character like Robin Hood. It's been around forever. No one owns Robin Hood, as far as I know. So, you could make Robin Hood into a killer or into a porno. You can do whatever you want with it, so it's the stuff that's not in public. Yeah, there you go. So there's stuff that, that's not in the public domain, where the very fine line of parody has to be walked if you want to kind of play with these toys and bring them in your sandbox.
Yeah. So getting David Howard Thornton involved, honestly, he's awesome in the movie. Like, it's hard to imagine someone else playing it after you see him. How early on was he involved in playing the mean one?
Pretty early on. I mean, the whole thing happened so fast, right? We went from outline and beat sheet in not even a year ago to script within 3 or 4 months to shooting by May to, here we are. And it became clear pretty early on that as soon as you let the mean one talk, it becomes really hard for him to be mysterious. It becomes really hard for him to be scary. So we knew that he should be feral. We knew that he should be monstrous. And we knew that it was going to be someone that had to perform, because when we see him, we want to really see him, right? The first act of the movie, you're not sure, is he real? Is she dreaming? Is she crazy? But then once, we get to the third act and they're going at it, you want to know that he can really emote, the character can emote. So between the makeup design and casting of David, we knew that we wanted someone who could really bring something to it. I've known the Terrifier guys for years, at least at this point, at least 15, 20 years. I've known these guys forever. And so I've been following Terrifier since the first one dropped on Netflix. And I was like, is this your guys' movie? So I've been aware of it. And once we knew that the creature wasn't going to speak, I said, we should look at Terrifier again. Because the guys had been showing me, footage from the movie while they were shooting it just on their cell phones. Look, we blew up this lady's head. Don't tell anybody. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And we went back, and my producing partner / fiance, Amy, we watched Terrifier again, and we're like, this has got to be the guy. And so, we reached out and we sent him the script, and I said, look, it's a comedy. It's different. We want it to be scary, but it's not, it's not Terrifier. Take a look and let us know what you think. And he bought into the concept and the idea and our approach. And he really wanted to do something different, honestly. And so I think that there's no problem at all for him, because he goes from funny to scary, on camera like that. I mean, I could do a 90-minute oops, all David's cut of the movie, and you just be laughing the whole time, because he's just so talented. It's great to watch.
He's great in the movie. Really nice guy too. And once you saw him for the first time in the full costume and the makeup, what went through your mind?
Well, first there was a lot of swearing because I was so excited. The second was, I mean, it was just shocking. It was incredible, because while he was putting on the applications, he would take he wasn't putting them on. Tatiana, shout out to Tatiana Bouchel. While she was putting the makeup on him, he would stop intermittently to look in the mirror and kind of work with the prosthetics to see how his face, reacted, what he could do with his eyebrows and his smile and his mouth and stuff. So by the time he came out, and, we had done a few makeup tests with different colors and patterns and pieces. And when he came out and what I had a feeling was going to be the final look, he stepped into the light and, he gave me a smile and a snarl. And I was like, that's the mean one right there. and he stayed in character, and he was, just moving his face and moving his hands. And I was like, whoa, I took a light out and I put my camera around him, and I was like, there's no bad angle to film this man. This is fantastic. We need to, man, I wish he was in more of the movie, because, when you're trying to set up a mystery, you don't want to see the creature, right? You want to hide it, but it was so cool. It was very, very exciting. And every time someone new came on set, they were like, whoa, okay, all right. They were really into it too. So it was a super fun shoot.
Yeah, he's amazing in it. And I like that he's really championing the film. I know he's like the main guy and everything, but still, like, it's nice. That's how I first saw about it, was he was talking about on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big proponent of the movie. I mean, we're all horror fans and independent movie fans, and no independent movie gets made without everyone behind it giving 100%. I mean, we don't even have Terrifier 2 money. We've got Terrifier 1 money. Our budget was so small. I physically made the shoes myself. My fiance did all the wardrobe, even though she was also the producer and in the movie as Mayor McBean. I mean, it's this whole film was a labor of love. And the fact that this tiny little thing that was just supposed to be released, online around the holidays ended up in the theaters all across the country is crazy to me. Like, other parts of the world are writing us asking when they're going to get the movie. And I'm like, this was like the third thing on my list of things to do for like 10 years. It's just never supposed to be anything for everybody. And now your mom thought it was fun. And that,
yeah, she loved it. I mean, she's weird. I mean, I grew up watching horror movies because of her, but no, she loved the movie. So. Yeah.
But that's, that warms my heart. Like, when I go to screenings, not just like the Q&A events, but sometimes I'll just go, because I mean, how many times do you get your movie in theaters?
Yeah.
And to sit in the back of the audience and hear people like laughing and razzing the movie and, chuckling in the right spots and stuff is so great. Like, I love it. It's as much as a gift to horror fans, to make this thing that I guess a lot of people really wanted. It's a gift for me to see people smile. So I love it.
Yeah. And I imagine it's really fun. I think the best way to watch any movies in the theater, but especially horror and comedy, because people can interact, with the movie while they're watching it. And then you got both here. You got a horror comedy, and I imagine it's a really fun experience with an audience.
It's cool. I've actually done, it's been kind of interesting too, because I've, we're doing some podcasts leading up to the movie coming out, and, not everyone was able to see it because of where it's located. And it's been really interesting to see people's reactions to the movie when they watch it cold, like, however people screen movies before they come out, versus people who saw it in the theater and were like, oh, I was laughing the whole time. Me and my friends all had fun. We showed up late and I don't think we missed anything, but then the ending made me sad. Like, it's just a different experience when you see like a movie that's meant to be seen loud and rowdy with a group. So yeah. I don't know if I could introduce the movie every time it played and be like, hey, feel free to yell, because that's what we do. Yeah. I'm sitting behind this, sitting at the monitor while we're shooting, and you've got a police officer in a cave while a guy in a green furry suit is stomping on a toy, and they're all acting scared. I'm just chuckling. I'm like, this is so dumb. I love this. This is so funny. Like we're in on it, and we love it too.
Yeah. What was the very first screening of the movie with people?
Our very, very, very first screening of the finished film with people was Midsummer Scream put on an event called Season Screamings. It was a holiday, Christmas horror convention in Pasadena here in Los Angeles. And they didn't even know what they were seeing. So people had kind of figured out what it was going to be. And that was the very first audience that got to see it. And we were really worried, because we're like, okay, we haven't tested it with an audience before. We've done, little things to see if the movie kind of worked edit wise, but that was the first time we showed it. And they laughed, they cheered. They seemed to get it. There was a bunch of jokes that I didn't know were funny that people laughed at. I was just designs that I thought were cool, that, things that people got before the joke landed, and then they laughed when it landed. It was a blast. And I was like, oh, I think we're going to have something that, maybe not for everybody, but something that, if you like horror comedies, I think would be a good time. And people seem to be liking it because we got extended for a week. So,
yeah, no, that's awesome. Earlier when you mentioned about, it's lucky in this country with the parody laws, does that though affect showing the mean one in other countries?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I'm going to plead.
Maybe you don't know yet. Yeah.
I don't know yet. Yeah, I don't know. We're taking it one day at a time here. We are so tiny. Like our marketing department is just me and my fiance. Like we do all the ads. We do all the,
Yeah.
like it's just, you know, we're such a small team. A lot of people contributed time and talent to making the movie, but our crew was only like 15 people on any given day. You know, the only real day where we had a lot of people on set was that big SantaCon massacre sequence. You know, where we have all of my closest stunt friends get killed by the mean one. Okay, that was a big day. We had a lot of people on set that day, but yeah, we're a tiny team, so we're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah. What scene was the most fun to film? I'm sure some of them that look fun might also be a lot of work, so maybe they weren't fun at the time, but which was the most fun to actually film?
The most fun scene would probably be the SantaCon sequence. Because you know, all of the different stunt performers, everyone's got like a specialty or a thing they can do. And we shot that whole sequence, you know, David told us Terrifier, some of the big like death sequences, they'll spend a whole week shooting just one death sequence. And we shot like 12 deaths in 12 hours. It was nuts, including the car driving. Like every scene with the SantaCon folks was shot in one day, which was, but it was great because the crew was vibing. And, you know, the stunt coordinator, Terrence, who knows all of the stunt performers, kind of knows what people can do, who can fall, who can take a hit, who's, you know, can do crawling really well, who can, you know, be on a wire and get dragged through cups. And it was great to just see them all like kind of one up each other and, you know, who's falling off a table, who's getting, you know, taking a hit to the face, but he's like, can I go into some cups? Let's put some liquid in the cups, you know, and kind of just jamming and vibing that damn inflatable tree, stealing the scene, even though he's just, you know, walking around performing. It was definitely the SantaCon scene. And the hardest scene to shoot was the shower scene because we had to build that shower in order to be able to like spray blood and stuff in it. So if you saw, there's nothing sexy about the shower scene. We've like had to run a hose 5 feet from a different shower with a different shower head and put up plastic. Like we built this shower contraption that's definitely, you know, there's like water dripping on the lights. I'm like, one of us is going to die in here. I hope you guys know that. Like, I hope you guys know that this is the moment where someone goes down forever. RIP. But we got the scene, but yeah, that was, everyone walked out of that scene wet and not, it was bad.
Eric, how did the idea of the candy cane gun come to be? Personally, I love it in the movie.
Thank you. You know, when we made the concept reel, I had sketches and ideas for the armor, and I love kit bashing, right? That's like one of my favorite things to do is go to Goodwill and go to the Amazon warehouse, the section that's got all the used cheap stuff. Go to thrift stores, and I love buying weird little pieces, things that look real, that look used and worn and weathered. I kind of mashed them together to make my own props and things. And the idea for the candy cane shotgun kind of came up because I wanted her to, the whole point is she's trying to antagonize the creature, right? That's why she sets up the traps. That's why she puts the armor on to try to antagonize him, to lure him out. And you know, once we knew we were using the candy canes as like swords, because Crystal is an accomplished sword.
Oh, really?
Sword mistress. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah. She's really good with swords, as is my fiance. And so once I saw her swinging like the candy canes like swords, I was like, oh man, we should make like a candy cane gun. And we made the candy cane shotgun. And then once the time came for the movie, I was like, well, obviously I have to make a candy cane handgun.
Right.
And I do own both of them, and they're not for sale. And I don't know if, and they, you know, they're airsoft guns, so they're fairly safe. Yeah. But yeah, I get a lot of questions about those guns, and maybe if I ever open a weapons store, I'll make custom. I don't know about. Edition.
I assume that's probably not like the next thing you're going to do, but I don't know. Maybe that was on your plan to make a weapon.
There's my side hustle. There it is. Arms dealer and movie maker. There you go.
So is that part of the reason she was cast for the role, or once you find out she's a sword mistress, good at swords, does that become part of the character?
Well, I've worked with Crystal a bunch. And you know, my original plan for the film when I was first sketching it out was that it would go much more Home Alone, and that Cindy would be a little girl. And you know, the monster would kind of terrorize her. But then once I started thinking about the logistics of working with a kid and how we're going to make this thing not kind of ruin the character, you know, we didn't want to do something that was, you know, that messed with the, you know, the source material. It became clear that an adult would be the way to go. And I said, well, Crystal has this childlike innocence about her, and a real vulnerability that, I saw working with her on another project. And, she used to get set on fire 10 or 20 times a week at Universal Studios. Like, she doubles for Ronda Rousey. She's a really accomplished stunt performer. And I was like, okay, well, what if we took someone who could do all this? No one knows that she's got these skills. Presumably the audience anyway doesn't. And we went backwards, and she could end at Sarah Connor, and we'll just like strip all that away and, make her seem kind of innocent and demure. And then we can do some really cool stuff. And there's a bunch of action beats that I wanted to do that we ran out of time and we couldn't shoot. But you haven't seen the last of Crystal, because she can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, she just shows up on set in her motorcycle and takes her helmet off. And she's like, are we doing I learned all the fight choreography by watching the video, Steve. And I'm like, that's Cindy for you.
That's awesome. How about John Bigham as Doc? He's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Oh, John is the man. He's so sweet. Ever since I met him, shuffling around the streets of Los Angeles, where he lives under a bridge. No, John's a We Make Movies member. He's a near and dear friend. And I knew that I wanted this character initially to be kind of right down the middle, what you'd think in a horror movie, the grizzled, older, stay away from there kind of character. And once we gave him the script to read, and he did it in the audition, I guess he wasn't super familiar with the source material. So he was like asking me how to say some of these words or the cadence behind some of the stuff that rhymes. And I was like, have you never read the book? Do you not? He was like, oh, well, I get the spirit of it, but no, he hadn't seen it. So the fact that he wasn't aware of any of the source material meant he brought this like zaniness to the character. He's like, how drunk am I? You know what? I'll figure it out. And he just brought something to it where we're like, oh, this character is going to be really funny. And then we did a rewrite to play to his strengths. And he's so fun. We have him on set, and he's like, can I sing? And I was like, when would you, you're talking about your dead wife. When would you sing? He goes, just trust me. And he just goes for it. And we're like, thank you, John.
I love it. Yeah. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but I think I really enjoy the ending. And I think it's a very fun reference to the original story.
Thank you. It was, we knew that that's how it was going to end for sure. At least conceptually, in terms of the action of what physically happens. But emotionally, it was the writers that really fought for the ending to have the weight that it does, again, without spoiling it. And when we test screened the movie, we did showed it to a couple of people to see if it worked. The people did not like the ending. They were like, oh my God, how can you have it end there? A normal horror movie, it ends over here. And so we actually had to go and do some re-edits and just make sure that it kind of flowed and it gelled and it didn't feel like a cop out. And I think it works really well now. But when we first tested it, everyone was like, oh my God, the old ending was really bad. So we had to make some changes.
Yeah. So when did you find out it was going to play at theaters? It was going to be theatrically released?
I'd say maybe 3 to 4 days before you did. The distributor that came on, it's interesting the way the internet works, right? And with technology, we can do things so much faster. We can beam trailers to theaters. We can print a master and have it shipped all across the country. I mean, you could do so many crazy things really, really fast. And so after the trailer dropped, and there was the distributor approached us and said, hey, what do you think about, there's kind of a hole in the release schedule the week before Avatar. What do you think about going theatrical for one night? Just to try it and see what happens. And one thing led to another, and we're like, well, let's try for the whole weekend and see what happens. I mean, and can we get extended? And they were like, no, absolutely not. But you'll get one really good weekend. Think of how fun that would be. And we said, let's do it. Let's try. Why not? And here we are, week 2, which I guess would be only 4 weeks after I found out it was going to be in theaters. Yeah. We're playing in the same theater as James Cameron's Avatar sequel, which is just outrageous. It's insane. Yeah,
that's amazing. And I'm not saying this because David Howard Thornton is in the movie, but how much do you think Terrifier 2 has helped movies like yours and independent films get a chance in the theater? Because that movie did so well theatrically, way more than anyone expected it to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I think that this has been a really interesting, a good year for horror movies for sure.
I
But you know,
agree.
but the film industry has been kind of suffering in terms of the company that makes my toilet paper is also making TV shows, adapting books I've loved forever. Like it's kind of a weird thing, right? So you know, the film industry has been kind of slow to pick up on trends and stuff, and you know, been kind of insular for a long time. And I think that once the streaming thing kind of shook up Hollywood, it really felt like movies were getting smaller, not bigger. They were making more, but they're getting smaller. And oh, we're thinking about releasing the new James Bond on Amazon Prime. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
They want to put Dune, which they went to the desert and breathed sand, you know, for months and months to make this a masterpiece, and you're going to show it on my phone? Come on now. And I really think that Terrifier has shown that we have the infrastructure to get little movies out there for a reduced cost, and there's interest. You know, you don't need to. They were in 700-800 theaters, like 1,500 max, I think, once at Halloween, and even that is a third of what a rom-com would get, or Marvel films, a different story. But and they did great. They did never broke the top 10 much higher than 8 or 9, and that's a huge win for them. And it was a huge win for us because we got to go and see it and get grossed out when they gets the mashed potatoes. I mean, I think it's a win for everybody. And I'm really hoping that more movies do go theatrical, because it's just a blast to be with people. And I'll never forget the night I saw Avengers Endgame with an audience. It was midnight. We all got out at 3 in the morning. And, when Black Panther comes through the portal, and spoilers, when he says Avengers Assemble, it was crazy, and you just don't get that at home. I love my cats, but I want to be out with people,
No, I agree. I'm someone who, I see multiple movies a week in the theater, and I'm not anti-Marvel movie or anything at all, because I go see the great big blockbuster movies, and I go and see Terrifier 2 at the theater, and weird Bollywood movies. I just like seeing movies in the theater. I think that they're much more, no matter what kind of movie, it's much more enjoyable.
It's true. It's really true. And especially when you have like comedies and things, or horror movies, things that are meant to be experienced with a group. It's just the best. That's part of it, right? Is being with people. And also, oh my God, the screen. I mean, you really want to watch Avatar. Like, my TV at home is pretty big, but I don't need to see it in 3D to appreciate Avatar. Like, just to see it on the giant screen, feel the sound, all the stuff that Nicole Kidman says in that spot. It's kind of true. There's a magic to the big screen. I really hope smaller movies make it up there for sure, because they deserve a shot.
And the sound, I think, sometimes overlooked. Obviously, the big screen, you can't escape it. You could look on your phone if you're really annoying, but you're going to look at the screen, and it's right there. And the sound, if you can feel the sound in the theater.
Oh my goodness. I saw Tenet in theaters. It was like getting a back massage when that plane took off, and everything's like, just the chair was shaking. I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. It's great. Chris Nolan does his sound design is, it's always so cool. It's great. You just can't replicate the theatrical experience. So I want to see more movies get made. And if that means I have to go streaming, great. But I think we're about to enter next year, especially, I think we're going to be entering a new landscape of movies that are like, let's try it in the theaters and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw Terrifier 2 in Boston, they showed it on the IMAX screen. I don't think it was technically IMAX, but they showed it on the giant IMAX screen.
Wow.
It was a really cool experience. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. There was our premiere. They were like, do you want to, I guess they had an opening in whatever the 3-panel, the screen with the big screen in the middle and the immersive screen. Yeah. Like, oh, do you want to show the movie in there? And I was like, no, we made this movie for 75 cents. Do not let the audience get any closer to the fake blood. That cave is made of duct tape and paper in the writer's living room. Like, a normal big screen is fine. Do not let them get closer to the screen. If anything, turn the lights down a little bit. Like, let's, help me out a little bit, open the bars, put some smoke in the room, give us something.
So people in the chat, people on my Facebook, they want to know, can we expect a Mean One sequel?
Ooh, good question. I get asked that a whole bunch, and I can't say. I would say no. I have no plans for a Mean One sequel at this point, and not because my fiance, the producer, is looking at me, making sure that I say that. I don't have any plans for a Mean One sequel, but if I did, it would probably be like, a 10-page outline, a whole bunch of sketches, a song idea, some drawings, some pictures, and a location, and some new monsters that I want to introduce. But I don't, so I'm sorry to disappoint you. But if I did, it would be all of those things, and it would be crazy. So no.
Very well said. And where go and see in the theater if you can now, but where will Mean One go after the theatrical release?
We're not sure, honestly. This all happened so quickly. And the theatrical release, one of the parts of it, for anyone that doesn't know this, is when you do a theatrical release, they want to know that you're not going to jump right into streaming. So once we knew we were going theatrical, we knew we were going to have to put the streaming on ice for a little bit. So between, having it be in theaters for a second week, which is unbelievable, and maybe a third week, if people go see it this weekend, they might extend us and let us be around for Christmas, which would be amazing. They've said it's a possibility, but people have to see it this weekend for it to make a splash. So we're not sure about the streaming side of things. I know it's going to be back next Christmas for sure, and it'll be much more widely available. But for right now, I don't have an answer on that.
All right, very cool. And where can people follow you and the Mean One to see in the future where it'll be available?
Of course, you can follow the Mean One on social media, predominantly Facebook and Instagram. It's at the Mean One Movie. And if you want to follow me and see my next film, which is a zombie film noir mashup shot in the style of Sin City, you can follow me on Instagram at Stephen LaMorte, spelled the way it sounds.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I really enjoyed the Mean One, as did my mom, and she made sure that I told you that. And it was very cool to talk with you.
So great talking with you too. Thanks for having me and supporting independent horror, laughing along with us. It's quite the Christmas joy. And if anybody's watching now or listening, or not watching live, but watching in the future, please go see the movie because it is my Christmas wish that the Mean One is around on Christmas. And we're only currently guaranteed to stay until December 22nd, which I guess is Wednesday or Thursday. And that's when, in theory, we're getting the boot. So if people get out there and they see the movie, or just if they liked it and they tell people, hey, check it out, because it might not be here much longer. That really, really help us out because we want to be around for Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. All right. And it would be fun to do a second one when the zombie movie's coming out.
Definitely reach out. It's called Bury Me Twice, and it's done. It's going to be streaming for sure. And I'm not allowed to say much more beyond that at this juncture. So just stay in touch, and I'll be sure to make sure I get to you first.
All right. Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Yes. I'm going to play, I know you have to take off, but I'm going to play music here from our music of the month to end the show. Thanks everyone for watching. And I started this by accident. Well, all right. So I'm going to play music out. Thank you again for doing the interview, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's coming, trust me.
Old boy, I'm just a young man riding on the subway. And if you want a clean and efficient ride, you're at the mercy of the MTA. Oh, I can see you can see me crying across the car. Counting down the days till you die must be wunderbar. But if you want to be happy, worry and carefree, don't you look at me. It's an unspoken rule, or it's unfair and cruel. I say No social distancing, 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 no social distancing at all.
Hey, all right. Thanks everyone for watching. That was Theophobia with Dylan Mars Greenberg, our music of the month. Big thanks to Steve LaMorte. He should be, when he's on here, we got, Nasty Neal, Terrible Troy, sometimes on here, Treacherous Trista. I was thinking Steve LaMorte. No, maybe needs some work. We'll be live here back next week, next Thursday. We don't normally do Friday shows, but we'll be back next Thursday. And I'm going to have William Tokarski on, who is in the Adult Swim's Yule Log, which everyone's talking about. It's kind of an internet sensation. That's on Adult Swim on the Cartoon Network. Check that out. We're going to have him on before Christmas. That'll be very exciting. Got some more guests lined up for 2023. We're also going to be doing some feature film screenings. Those are a lot of fun. We just did one with Home is Where I Lay, and we got some Christmas horror movies coming up. So what happens is right here on this YouTube channel, we'll show the movie, feature film. You'll watch it, and then after that, it'll be a live Q&A with the cast and the crew of the films. Now the feature will only play once, so you have to come and watch it live, because I can't just keep them up here forever and give people's movies away. So come over, watch it live with us. We have an interactive chat room. You can talk about the movie, and then right after that Q&A, and you can send in questions and talk to the directors and actors in the movie. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So what you do is you subscribe to this channel and hit that little icon, that little bell, and you'll get a notification every time we're live and every time a new interview pops up. A lot of interviews will be coming up this weekend. So check here, some stuff I recorded during the week. It's good stuff. And if you're not already part of it, go and join our community at facebook.com/groups/without your head horror. And just as Steve talked about, get the word out there. So tell people, go see The Mean One, so they keep playing at the theater, and also help out Without Your Head and help spread the head. So how do you do that? You share Without Your Head. You share it on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your MySpace, on your Instagram, on your Friendster, on your Grindr. I don't know. Share it wherever you want to share it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, go spray paint it on your neighbor's car. Don't actually do that part, but tell everyone about Without Your Head, because you enjoy it and you want other people to enjoy it, and you want more people to come here and make me feel good. All right, so until next week, we will return. This is Nasty Neal. A big shout out to Terrible Troy, who will be returning next week. The return of Terrible Troy. Hopefully Treacherous Trista comes back here sometime on the show. 2023, we'll be also doing our 13 list, which we will run down our 13 favorite horror films, and that'll be me, Terrible Troy, Treacherous Trista. Our buddy Justin B. Henning always joins us with the 13 list, and Alok Mearshow, who made the horror film 1BR. So that'll be very fun, and it'll be cool because you can come into the chat room and say, "What the hell, Nasty Neal? How the hell do you have that stupid ass movie in your 13?" Like, hey, I loved it. Or you could say, "What the hell? How can you be missing fill in the blank?" Maybe we'll take Zoom calls and you can Zoom in and let us know your favorites. I don't know. It'll be a good time, though. Come and watch it. Big thanks to everyone who's in the chat, everyone who listens live, who also listens after this is over here on YouTube, on Spotify, or we're on iTunes and stuff, but I think it's much more fun to watch it. And so you can watch a video on YouTube or on Spotify. All the other platforms, I believe, are just audio, like iTunes and all those good things. That's fine too, however you listen, but hey, if you only listen, you can't see these cool hats. You'd be like, what are they talking about? You just have to think about it. Watch us. All right. Now I'm just wasting your time. So I'm going to get out of here. And thanks again, everybody. Bye.